Last we left off, the Wildcards completed the heist and subsequent arson of the Darkwood Manor, managing to trick their way into the hard count room and face down the Yugoloth monster inside. What this Yugoloth didn't foresee was Gord Dunsworth utilizing one of the most powerful transmutative spells in his arsenal to turn his ass into a duck. This trivialized much of the final encounter and netted the party a tidy sum of gold, gems, and magical items before they set evidence of a mercy killer involvement or betrayal of the Crimson Coin, freed 3 hostages, and under the cover of night slipped back through the city streets to the sanctuary of the Market Ward and Second Chances Tavern. The hour is very late, and unless there are any last-minute changes or updates you guys want to try and do before resting, we can try and wrap that up now. Otherwise, we'll take you through the rest and wake up late-mid-morning before day breaks in the City of Doors.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that, like, because I know Valentine's kind of like up and down, and I know we got a couple items, so if there's anything that we could, like, if Valentine's up because he was napping before or whatever, at some point get some things like slowly identified through time, so that
my thought process here is you guys are coming back super late.
Okay.
Val's still not 100%. I would think he's crashed. Like, he'll wake up when you come in, but you're better off just, he can ritually do it in the morning. I'm not going to penalize ritual casting after like 2 full days of rest. You know, he's still not full capacity to be knocking out 7th level spells. But to do ritual stuff, he's getting to the point where that's okay. So
I do have an important question. What are we doing with the duck? Where is the duck?
He's our friend now.
Okay. What are you guys doing?
Like, the duck...
We have to keep the duck safe for an hour. After an hour...
I think it must have been an hour.
Been an hour.
Yeah, that's what I mean. After that, the duck's a duck forever. Who wants a pet duck? Don't give it to Horace. That's a terrible idea.
We cannot give it to
is pretty good.
No, we cannot eat. It's like a weird cannibalistic thing.
I want to confirm.
The thing is, it keeps its memory, so like it will be trying to kill us at all times.
It's just a duck trying to kill us.
Hey.
I say we like lock it in the bathroom in a bathtub, and then we figure it out after all this stuff.
Who does Vidane want a pet duck? Like, who wants Is there a pet a bar pet duck? Like, you know, like some places have like a bar cat. Like, is it a bar duck now? It just lives there.
He'll be trying to like kill patrons or like grab like a pen and write a note to the general.
It's just the naughty goose with a knife from the Untitled Chapter.
Yes, yeah, angry goose. I say we lock it in the bathroom for now. It's fine.
Especially if it like keeps trying to kill us.
Yeah. You imagine sleeping with a rogue duck that wants to kill you just somewhere in the room?
We should probably take watches. We pissed a lot of people off tonight, just making sure that no one's, followed us.
Okay.
Just in case.
I can take first watch. Okay. Then as you guys want to go through the watches, if Boone wants to take first, then we will start the evening of all of the action. The duck is locked away. Everyone returns back in, and your 3 compatriots that you kind of saved from this, from the Darkwood Manor, you come back at a point when Vidane's not really like actively like running the bar. So there's like a weird moment where you guys come in through the back door, and like there's a moment where Vidane kind of is like awakes with a start, kind of comes down and is unsure of what's happening, and it's smoothed over very quickly. But these 3 are given a room off on your floor, just not in the same room as you.
Which 3? Who?
The 3 people that you rescued.
Right.
Right, because it's been 45 minutes for our character, not a month.
That's right. That's
yeah. There are 3 figures you rescued who basically asked to come with you just for the night, just for safety.
I think they would work well here, just in general at the bar.
Pim did say that he has family to get back to, as did the other. The woman though, she was on board, but
yeah, she was.
That's to be dealt with at a later time. So, Boone, go ahead and roll perception.
Roger that. First roll.
And as a note for our viewers, Gord will be joining us shortly. He's out for the time being. But until then, I will be playing Gord. And according to what Gord has done almost every other game since, he slips into the shadows and quietly listens and watches.
7.
Okay. Everyone else lays down for their first bit of rest after a busy day and evening. Boone, you go to the window and keep an eye.
Just stare out at it.
And it's not so much that you don't fall asleep on the job or anything like that. You're definitely very on task, but your mind just wanders a little bit to the point where your eyes glaze over ever so slightly, and you keep having to catch yourself and pull yourself back to the moment. The important thing is you don't see anything untoward. You see a consistent patrol of mercy killers in amongst the market ward, which is now more or less quiet and empty late in the night. But none of them are coming towards second chances, but there's a definite increase in their activity than there was in the previous days, and to Boone's experience, more than you've ever really seen in the city. They're weirdly more active, especially here. Otherwise, the watch is uneventful. Who do you wake up?
I think he takes a moment before waking anyone else up, and he just kind of thinks about what's to come and how long he's waited to have his own revenge. He just kind of flexes his metal hand, looking out the window for a bit, and then we'll slowly go towards one of the rooms, open it up, see Mary, know she's probably one of the best people for this, and kind of just nudge her boot slightly. Hey, wake up.
What happened?
That was your turn.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay. Mary, go ahead and make a perception check.
+7. 20.
More or less the same. You notice an increase in mercy killer activity, just patrols making their way around the market ward on a
Are they by themselves or in pairs?
They're in pairs. They're always in pairs.
If I see a couple in pairs, I'll pull out my spyglass and just try to see if there's any conversations I can catch through lip reading.
Your broken spyglass is not going to be great at it, and with that perception check, you get a couple of words here and there. You know what? Go ahead and make another perception check at disadvantage, given the spyglass. But who knows?
Second roll was a 6 +7.
Difficult to make out enough coherent words and follow it properly. You get a sentence or two here and there, and they are talking in the few sentences you gather, talking kind of business, talking about the city, talking about the rise of rebellious activity, the rise of Crimson Coin activity, and given your insight, even with you're not getting enough to get more details, but you're gathering that they are being very careful with how they're speaking about it. With your passive insight, they are not talking in code, but not speaking openly. It's weirdly covert.
Okay. Just confirming more of what we already knew.
Your watch does come to an end, otherwise quiet, unless there's anything else you want to do.
No, I think at one point she just like part of her watch she always does. She like obsessively checks on everybody else consistently, right? Like it's always peeking in on doors, making sure everyone's still okay. Like she's just mortified of someone being randomly kidnapped in the night or who the fuck knows what. So like checking in on everybody else, probably even more so with Valentine, given everything that's happened.
Sure.
At one point just like seeing and like debating who to wake up, looking in, seeing like Alana and Val being like, I think I'm just gonna leave them, and like absent-mindedly through the watch, just turning her sending stone in her hand, just like just thinking of an excuse to use it and doesn't find one, just puts it back. And then she'll go wake up Hondo instead.
Okay. You, Hondo, you're awoken for the final check, the final watch of the night. And I should point out too, I suppose, there's no, as you guys are well aware, there's no like rising sun. There's no dusk or dawn. It's just night and day, and it happens in a moment. But Mary's watch comes to an end, and Hondo's begins, nearing that point of daybreak here in Sigil. Given the fact that you guys came back late, it's going to be a later evening or later morning rise for everybody to get the full rest. So it'll be, rather than a 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock wake, it's more of a 10, 9, not late 9, 10 o'clock. So just in terms of keeping track of the day. So Hondo's watch will be primarily in the sun shortly. But Hondo, you awaken. Go ahead and make a perception check, and then is there anything else you want to do on your watch here?
Just some shadow boxing.
Of course. That's how Hondo starts every day. Gets loose, shadow boxing until the sun flips and rises and daybreak suddenly scatters across Sigil. What's your perception roll? That's okay.
There we go.
4.
Great.
It's very likely one of your minimum 23s, though.
Perception, you said, right?
Yes.
Plus 14, and yes, it is expertise. So 10 and 14, 24.
24. Even while you're shadow boxing off before the sun rises, you can see, and this technically would have probably been right on the cusp of Mary's final part of her watch, but in the transition, you can see people are beginning to come before daybreak and set up things in the market and claim spots and start getting their carts and things ready to sell their wares. You're beginning to see more activity unfold as the day begins to flip, and as sun suddenly the day does break. It very quickly, within the hour, fills to the active, busy market you are used to. The Mercy Killer presence is slightly diminished with the insurgence of all these people, and you're pretty confident in not seeing any weird Mercy Killer activity. You certainly don't see any coin. And I don't think there's anything else of note that you would notice by the time that everyone comes to wake, nearing that like 9:30, 10 o'clock hour, roughly, as you all can get your long rest if you haven't already. Click the button, refresh yourselves.
Let's do it.
Get all your abilities back. And the day of reckoning here is yours.
Heavy breathing.
The cager has either been delivered or is actively being delivered by this point. No change to Hondo's perception, no change in the activity of the people here, but it's also very early. Maybe word hasn't quite spread just as quickly. However, you currently have at 10 o'clock now, 8 hours until nightfall, and that being your trigger for little anarchist activity here in the city. What are you, the Wildcards, gonna do?
Just tracking it, so we all know, because it's it's only been 45 minutes, but we should all know. Val only has 2 levels of exhaustion now. He's gonna sit out this fight, but we're slowly getting back to normal.
Yeah, it's. I think that's fair. Fair restriction on Val, knowing the things that are coming, and it would suck to have to play 2 full characters.
I feel like it would be OP. It's not.
Yeah.
Val died. So to recap, I just wanted to clarify in the loot. Hold down here. We got this thing that looks like a map. Where was that? But was that the family tree?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I just wanted to make sure we didn't get some map that we haven't unfurled yet.
No, I think that was the family tree that had been doctored to add Corinne Magbella to the family tree.
What's that about? And why would that be in a loot? And we're sending Horace to kill this person? I don't understand.
It was in the house that she would have been added to the family tree of. So I'd imagine it had something to do with forcing where the inheritance of the house goes.
But it's so obvious that it was added.
Well, it wasn't, because you
Boone
stared
didn't
at
get
it for...
Okay, good to know. I didn't know if it was like scribbled out.
Boone stared at it for an hour before Mary came over and
Well, before you brought it to Mary and I glanced at it, I was like, yeah, that's fake. But that's because I
can barely read, let's be honest. He's not reading a lot as a child. We have so much gold. I think we should leave some here. That we could come back for, Hondo, don't freak out. But you literally have...
You want it to be stolen? It'll be stolen, sure.
It'll be left with Valentine.
Yeah,
you're filled to the brim with gold. Like, one more bar and you could barely move. I think your coat would burst.
Well, we also, no matter what, we have to come back here because we have to get Val, and we're going to have to get the mounts, and get the fuck out of here using a weird door handle. So...
Ooh,
we should have some fun with the gold, pay people to do stupid stuff.
Yeah, think of that we have to go back and get
your day doesn't end in the fight.
Yeah.
Did we also say too, I thought when we were going to come back as well, we were going to organize our bags and dump stuff, because I think we were like near full.
Oh yeah,
we are.
You guys literally filled the bags.
Yeah.
Everything you could carry.
Dump stuff.
I wrote it down in Val's inventory. We have 30,000 gold worth of gold bars. Not even to mention Hondo's 700 platinum that he managed to stuff in his coat.
Hondo scooped a bunch of stuff himself, and then you guys also have several items and potions and things that also came along with that.
Yeah, could Sweet Val start identifying some of this stuff after we have some breakfast brought to the room or something?
I think it's fair to say Val would be up early given how much sleeping he's done, and could easily
contribute.
Could easily be a part of like getting a jump on this while Hondo's on watch. Like, I think the shadow boxing probably would have woken him up a little bit.
He's just punching like wardrobes and like fucking rattling like the cabinet.
Oh, there's that's that conversation pit lined with pillows.
Yeah.
They're
he's
just all
beating the
stacked
shit
up.
out of them. Doing drop kicks on the couch.
Just like a toddler.
So there's the interesting stone to which Mary believes to be an Ioun related stone. There are two.
I don't think Mary knows shit. Mary doesn't know at all. that was Leah going, oh shit, I think it's an Ioun stone. Mary doesn't know.
I'm trying to see what color it is. Usually they have like a little description.
You said pink rhomboid gem, glimmers perfectly cut.
Pink rhomboid gem. There it is. So there's a little pink gem that has its own little box. There are 2 potions, these cloudy pink potions. Yes. There are
3 amber potions.
3 amber potions. There are 6 you can identify them, but you know they're healing potions. You're confident that they're healing potions. There are 6, and they're relatively large.
Amazing.
So you're not sure exactly whether they're superior, greater, where they sit on the spectrum. But they seem big at the very least, so large. And then, was there another pouch?
I'm 6 healing. A small leather pouch with 2 marbles inside. Yeah.
So those as well. They're identical. So identifying one would give you both.
Oh, cool. Why don't we start with the pink rhomboid stone?
You got it. Are you ritually? You can only ritually identify, right?
Yeah.
So 10 minutes or so pass as Valentine goes through the ritual. And it feels good, Val, to be using magic again. And with each one of these, you're going to do 3 or 4 rituals of magic. It's not even quite like riding a bike, but it's like getting back to the gym after a while and a couple of days in of the first couple of days of everything hurting. Today, it doesn't hurt. Today, it feels right. And you're going through magic like you used to. And it feels good to just kind of be back to that level. You're doing pretty basic shit, and the ritual makes it even easier. But there's that element of okay, I'm coming back.
Yeah, it's coming
back.
It's
just a little calming element to I don't want to speak for Valentine if there was any anxieties of it, but you died.
Yeah. And my throat slit.
Yeah.
Not fun.
A source of your power was literally cut. Yeah. Anyways, you dash those anxieties as an Iron Stone of Fortitude is presented to you. This Iron Stone increases your Constitution score by 2 to a maximum of 20. That's all it does. It will constantly encircle your head, but it does basically increase your Constitution score by 2, which would increase your health by your level. And all of your bonuses obviously increase by 1, your con saves, your con checks. And it does require attunement, unfortunately.
So it gives you an extra +2?
It increases it by 2. So if you're at 18, it'll take it to a 20.
Cool.
That's great for con saves, for concentration.
It gives another +1 to any Constitution saving throw, and
plus, basically
the health increase.
It's like half tough. Plus also, yeah.
So the only thing it wouldn't actually, it doesn't matter because Lavender's the one who has the Constitution.
Yes, she stole that from Hondo.
Yeah, thief. Otherwise, that's the only where that would conflict because it would set it at 19, but it wouldn't raise it, so it'd be pointless.
Gotcha.
So any of you could take this and it'd give you a little extra health, but it does require attunement. So keep that in mind. And one of the caveats to the Iron Stones is it constantly does kind of float around your head. So it can be taken, it can be grabbed, it can be attacked.
Interesting.
But so it only has its effect on while rotating around. So you can hide it, but the effect is gone.
Cool.
That goes for all Iron Stones, which you would gather with this ritual.
Learning more about it. Cool.
Yeah. So that's 10 minutes in, you gather that powerful item, potentially a sacrifice for somebody to get more hit points though. So something to consider. What would you like to look at next?
What about those little marbles? Sound cool.
Yeah. Another 10 minutes pass as everyone's beginning to start to stir over the next 10 minutes or so, as Hondo's kind of finishing up the watch here and everyone starts to waken and breakfast is coming up. You find these black spheres that are like little black marbles. They are beads of force. You can use an action to throw a bead of force up to 60 feet. It explodes on impact and is destroyed, so it's a consumable item. Each creature within a 10-foot radius of where you strike must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 5d4 force damage, and then a sphere of transparent force encloses the area for 1 minute. Any creature that fails to save takes that damage and is completely trapped in this sphere of force. Anybody who saves the dexterity save or are partially in the area. So if someone's on the cusp of a line, they are pushed away out of the center of the sphere and they kind of shove to the exterior and are not caught inside of it. Air can pass through, breathable air passes through the sphere's wall, but no other attack or effects can.
Damn.
Sorry,
it's still a ball, so you can it's a dexterity, DC 15 dexterity.
15, okay. So you don't
it's still a ball, so you can kind of push it. You can move inside of it, like as a hamster ball, essentially. And this sphere, the magic of the sphere makes it weigh only 1 pound, regardless of the amount of creatures inside. So you could encase something in it and then just lift it up, no problem.
Anarchy.
So they are super clutch. Though a dexterity save, obviously, a DC 15, it's not strategic. It's not super hard to beat, so something to consider though.
We need to figure out how to give people disadvantage on those. I know there's certain spells or abilities that do that.
Tons of ways, but it costs your resources to guarantee it. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
to consider it when it's worth it. That's where Bane comes in handy to.
That's where you need a cleric or a bard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you have two of those.
Cutting word saves. Can I do saves?
The cutting words, I thought it was only for your damage or damage that you could see.
I can cutting
word
ability checks.
Damage.
I can do ability check, someone's ability check, but not a save.
Yeah, so 2 beads of force, they're consumable. So once you use it, it's destroyed. But you got 2 of them. Iron Stone is a regular magic item.
Hondo, I feel like you would love to have a bead of force that you could just.
I was gonna say those seem like they're made. One of those is made for Hondo.
Well, I was saying we can cause a lot of anarchy with these.
Okay, what about? What other things do we talk about there being here?
There's
what about these amber potion bottles?
You get 2 kinds of potions. The amber ones are potions of watchful rest. When you drink this potion, you gain the benefits. You gain the following benefits for the next 8 hours. Magic can't put you to sleep. You can remain awake during a long rest and still gain its benefits. So you can be awake for the rest of 8-hour rest, but not have to sleep through it. So it's almost like a waking sleep potion. Has no effect on creatures that don't require sleep, such as elves. Mm-hmm. But it is sweet, an amber brew. So in the coming battles, likely not to come into huge effect, but it could come into effect for you guys outside of that.
And then what about
the final?
The 2 cloudy pink ones.
2, that's right. 2 potions of psionic defense. When you drink this potion, you gain advantage against psionic-based magic and spells that deal psychic damage for the next hour. So 1 hour, advantage against psionic-based magic and anything that is psychic-based. So not resistance to psychic damage, but advantage on psychic spells.
I can't remember. Were there a lot of psychic things the last time we fought? Oh, the lieutenants are very psychic-based, right?
There's a lot of psionics from the lieutenants. If you see, I mean, you guys know you've battled with mind flayers.
Yep,
that is a psionic based thing. Supply. Some of the generals' abilities are psionic in nature. Some of them were technology in nature as well. So something to keep aware of. Not all of his stuff was your standard magic spells. They were like spell effects attributed to like the armor and equipment he was using. But psychic damage comes in all forms, and certainly was something that was dealt with his crew. Potions of psionic defense.
So I can't remember. I think you said maybe we left 1 or maybe both. The 2 magic lightning batteries. Did we leave them there or did we end up bringing 1?
There was the Eldritch battery was left behind. I think it was too big. I don't have written here whether you had taken them, but I feel like Hondo tried to.
The little ones.
The little like electrified chest light.
Ones.
Yeah, they were like,
but not the big one.
Like, yeah, exactly. And they're kind of just like a battery as we know it in our current life. It's just a magical source.
So if you like chuck it in a puddle, does it electrify?
We can find out.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Kevin. Wall of water. Chuck a battery into it.
Now it's an electric wall of water.
That's pretty cool.
Let's do it.
Essentially,
not right now, but
even
Let's do it now.
The trap that you found it in, what was happening was you would touch it and you would basically be touching an electrified chest just by it being connected and finishing the loop. You're being a conductor and finishing the loop of the energy. It was just delivered into you as like the trap. So yeah, if you can attach it to something metal, and if someone has to step on a something metal or touch something metal, it'll deliver up to 4d10 lightning damage. And likewise, thrown into a wall of water, a watery sphere, any of the above.
A kraken's
pretty cool.
belly.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that was awesome. All of that stuff. And then we got the scrolls. Do you want to just say he identified the scrolls? You already told us what they were.
Sure. I don't remember what they were. So what did you get?
Tensors, fabricate, and dispel magic.
That's right. So yeah, floating disc, fabricate, and dispel. And yeah, I think that was it for loot. And then you got a fuckload of gold. Yeah. 6 what you approximate to be superior healing potions.
Is that potion of psionic defense a real thing?
It's a thing I made.
Okay. I'm just like, I was just trying to Google it in the basic D&D Beyond and it's not coming up. Search it in the D&D Beyond, but I wasn't in like the items tab. I was just in like the search everything.
Yeah, if you search in the inventory in your page,
that's just not where I was looking. So okay, there was a homebrew.
You guys remember? Did we use one of the sending scrolls to call? What's his face?
Who?
The archwizard whose name
is
Mordenkainen?
No, Mary used a...
Oh, she got lucky trying to ping him with the earring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just, while we were crossing the city, it was like, yo, motherfucker, are you here now?
So why doesn't Gord take one of the sending scrolls and Valentine keep one of the sending scrolls in case something goes very bad during tonight?
Okay. I'll add that to Gord's inventory.
So any of the rest of the stuff. We also need to talk about what the fuck. Oh wait, I guess we're not up yet. This is all Valentine doing this.
No, at this point everyone's up.
Okay.
Wonder is a potion of growth. What the fuck is that? Potion of growth.
Makes you real big?
Does it make him real big? Oh my god, the enlarge effect, that is crazy.
That's also a dope Alana thing to give, because then she will be extra fucking strong and can actually just destroy shit. So that might be a good Alana potion to have.
Ooh, I'm down.
Well, Honda's nodding off. Let's steal the enlarged potion and give it to Brawley.
Although, legit, so Kevin, I think you should take at least one of these batteries, because that combination of your wall of water could be awesome for either setting a trap or like blocking off a space how you always think wall of water should work. It can potentially actually make a little electric fence, which would be cool.
I'm not going to argue with an electric
fence. I might keep the other one and think about if there's anything I can make with it, either for this fight or for a different one. Because I feel like I could probably figure something out eventually.
I'm going to say, I mean, it's possible you could do it in the city, but I would say making anything that's going to require your workshop.
Yeah, for sure. We also have a fun fabricate scroll, and I don't quite know what that does. but I think maybe they could work together.
Certainly possible.
Why doesn't Honda take one of the beads of force and Mary takes one of the beads of force as well?
Sure, because is that like an attack roll, like a dexterity based attack roll to check one of those?
I think it is. It's the whole idea is to hit it at range.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Use
for
an
the two
action
of
to
us
throw
to
the
take
bead up to 60 feet.
Guys,
So you're not trying to hit a person. So you're trying to hit a point. You're trying to hit a point in range so it hits a point in between like a 10-foot radius. So 20 squares. 10-foot radius. Yeah, 10 by like a 4x4 section. You try and throw it in the middle of that space. So you don't need to. You just throw it. You say, I want to hit there. Explode.
But if you're throwing it pretty hard, you might make us make a check if it's a weird shot or something.
If you're pushing the limits of trying to hit something specific, if you're pushing
or like
the limits
through a window or
exactly.
something,
that's
okay.
where I'll ask for a
wall.
check. But it's not necessarily every time it has to be an attack roll.
Okay.
So it could be any of you. But I think it's also a decent idea for who you've decided.
Mm-hmm.
Hondo, Val gives you a scroll of Speak with Dead and a scroll of Invisibility. It says, I don't know if you'll need this, partner, but
thank you.
It's a good idea just in case.
Yeah.
Hondo also has the Afriti magic lamp.
That's right.
Keep in mind.
Look, that's a great chaos option. Hondo has so many choices.
Yeah.
So Tensor's floating disc is it just makes a disc that you could potentially move stuff with, right? Like it
follows you. It follows you slowly, like it's a magic cart that you don't have to pull.
Okay.
It can hold up to 500 pounds or something like that. Like it's for moving things around. I mean, there's ways you could do it, but I don't think it can go higher or lower than like 10 feet.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. So it's not like it can. I can use this to raise up to the window, or nothing like that.
Quick healing potion roundup. Currently, Hondo has 1 superior and 2 regular. Charlie has 2 regular. Mary has 1 regular. Gord has 3 regular potions. Now we have these other potions, so we should add these 2.
I have 2 regular. Did you say that?
No. So I'll do that now.
I have 2 regular right now and 1 greater.
Gord does have 3 in his equipment, yes.
Mary has 2 regular.
Move some shit to my backpack.
Hey, if there's any Google engineers listening to this, it'd be sick to have dark mode on docs. I know you sent that extension, Leah. It did not work. So if you guys want to start coding that, that'd be like.
I feel like someone else has to make an extension that'll work for it.
I tried another one too. So I'd really love the Google engineers themselves to really. You can put this game on in the background. Let's focus up,
what the hell?
Okay, so now we have 6 more to divvy up. Why
6
don't
superior.
we do 6 superior? Great. So Hondo, why don't you take? How should we do this?
Oh my
Gord
god!
has the staff itself, so I feel like Gord doesn't need them.
Yeah, Gord could rely on the staff, and I have also, just for anyone keeping track, Gord's staffs have been fully charged. So he's got all charges available to both of his staffs. So you're going to give him 1 potion of superior
I wasn't even
healing?
thinking it, because he already has 3 regulars.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with that.
Hondo, if you took 1, you'd have 2 superior and 2 regular.
Okay.
Let me do that. Raleigh, why don't you take 1?
This is superior you're talking about?
Yeah. Mary, you're always saving people's lives. Why don't you take...
Well, so the other thing we have to think of is we have to figure out what the plan is here. And when we get to the bulk of what's going on tonight, who's going to be doing what? Once we get into the fight, I got this, pulling out the blade. And apparently we really have to read through that creepy advice/poem again. But I think I'm mostly just going to be hitting things with this. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to do much else.
Listen, you always end up doing more.
I'll take one.
I think we should
I'm
do
just
this.
saying.
Hondo take 1 superior. We have 6 to count. So Hondo take 1. Brawley take 1. Mary take 2. Gord take 1. Boone take 1. That's 6. Pikachu take 1. Nothing good.
So
Pikachu's
sorry.
in the background. If you're listening to a podcast, that wasn't just a random reference. There's a Pikachu in the background.
Gord is taking 1 of the superior?
Gord, executive decision now, is going to take 1 superior. I saw him looking at them from the shadows, and so I thought he's probably going to want one of these.
Did you know, actually, I was just fucking around with Gord's character sheet. If you right click on your abilities, you can choose to roll with advantage or disadvantage.
What?
Yeah, in D&D Beyond.
That's so cool. And you can even send like a roll just to the DM. That's so cool.
Secret rolls.
See, Google engineers, D&D Beyond's always tweaking these things. They're always improving it. They're shipping updates. And so it'd be super, like, you could have that same commitment. Love it.
I know you're Google, but
Google.
Come on.
I know there's a lot of projects probably going on, but like a dark mode just seems so obvious.
So the potion of psionic defense, there's 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk a little bit more about what our plan's going to be, and we can think about the kind of things that have hit us in the past. Does anyone out of game remember what kind of save are like psionic things? Is it an intelligence save or charisma save most of the time?
Or whiz or
from our experience?
In your experience collectively, or your experience with these guys specifically?
Collectively, like psionic type things.
More often than not, you end up with an intelligence-based save, as Valentine and Gord can both attest to with psionic synaptic static.
Yeah.
That's an int-based psionic bomb, like a psychic bomb.
They're going to talk about when Val got stuck in a mind blast for like
There's
7
also that.
rounds.
Those are all intelligence-based saves. Any stun effect typically, other than like a monk's key stunning strike. So it's a lot of int-based stuff, if I remember correctly. However, keeping in mind, like, psychic damage spells include illusion spells, like trying to avoid a phantasmal force or phantasmal killer or those kinds of things. So like there's psychic-based damage that you've been the victim of, that have been messing with your mind with illusions and stuff that typically didn't follow an intelligence basis, wisdom or something like that. So
my big argument is I think Alana should have 1 because
Totally.
the poor woman is consistently shut down in fights. And psychic is the one damage you don't have resistant to.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a good call. So
you could be unfucking stoppable, provided you actually roll high with disadvantage. But
yeah,
I think Alana's a good choice.
I say Alana for sure. And then
it depends on what our plan is and who's going to be doing what, right? It's something we could pass off as we're kind of on our way there.
Like, Hondo is the scout, you know? Like, he gets into these situations where shit goes sideways very quickly.
Yeah, possibly. Like I said, we kind of have to figure out what our plan's going to be. But like, well, let's just get through everything else. Does anyone want to take this dope ass weird pink stone that floats around your head? Does anyone have an empty attunement slot? I do not.
It boosts con, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does anyone need a con boost?
I mean, so I don't really want to do this. Like, Boone has a slot open, but he's not like a main character. You know what I mean?
It'd be weird to give him the Ioun stone. I was thinking, I mean, in general, I'm thinking my first thought was like, well, it works for Valentine's aesthetic, and he's going to want some more HP after this last fight. But that doesn't necessarily come into play right now. If Boone has an attunement slot open, let's give him something. We all have cool shit. Who has something that requires attunement who could be useful to Boone?
What is Boone's HP? I think Boone is in the low end.
Yeah, I mean, he only has 116.
He beats Gord.
But he is a tanky.
Here's the thing. We could loan it to him and then get it back later.
Let's do a loner.
You already
Unless
gave
there's
the
something
arm.
more dope.
Yeah, he already
But I
has
think
the
that's
arm, but he can. Well, we want that back at some point.
I've talked
but
to him
he
and
can
he's
borrow it for
very
this
generous. Yeah, he's pretty reliable. He doesn't really care.
Because
But it
Kevin, you
doesn't
have
fit
too
his
much shit,
aesthetic.
right? You have
I'm
way
a-
too much stuff for
My
a
bag is
attunement.
now at 100 pounds, I think. 100.
Oh my god.
God.
I mean, like for attunement slots, but yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah, I
I
didn't
know,
know
Allie,
attunement
you're
slots.
full too, and so am I. Like, I can't sacrifice
Yeah.
anything else.
Hondo has a ring of animal friendship. He's just like kicking around in his back pocket.
I'm not even gonna say it. Never mind. Disregard me. Continue as you were.
What? Oh no! Come on.
God, it's so bright. Trying to refresh it. We have all of the other like magical relics too. I mean, Boone's not a magical dude, but we have those. Let's just quickly take a peek at them.
Right.
Which ones? I'm sorry.
The ones
Just-
we
I
got
was-
from the wizards.
Yeah, I was just gonna take a peek
Oh.
at those in case.
We
I thought
all
you meant,
have a
like,
whole bunch of stuff.
Stuff
I
you
realized I
acquired
have some
here.
acid vials. I was looking through all my things. I
Yeah,
moved
Hondo
a
has
bunch
the
of
robe
shit
of
into my
stars.
backpack so I could
Hondo,
see
you can
better.
whip stars off your robe.
Oh,
You haven't done
I know,
that.
yeah.
It's so
We
Oh,
have we done that yet?
I don't know if you've done
They're
that.
auto hit, which is amazing. I have a fire flask. We stole that out of that house at some point, and I forgot I
You have,
had that.
You have Otto's dancing rapier and shield, right?
We gave the rapier to Eli.
Oh, it was a 2 thing. But you have the
Mhm.
shield?
She has
That's
the
cool.
shield.
They're two separate things that require two separate attunement slots.
Yeah, there's like an illusionist bracer. There's like the you can make anything with this wand. It's not really like Boon.
I have those boots of striding and springing that I'm not attuned to right now. If he needs those.
I think you would get the most out of the health, honestly.
Yeah.
Bring you up to at least 132.
Jesus, what level is Boone?
14.
Okay, you are a little lower level than us.
Mhm.
What's
Yeah,
your- what was your con before? Did you dump stack con?
2. There's a wand of protection.
Well, he's a paladin. He's got to focus both strength and then his charisma and then
Yeah, I guess.
con.
Nothing into skills. Everything into strength. Nothing into int, let me tell you.
Yeah. So obviously, distribution of your magical items and all that is super important because it can influence decision making here. However,
Mhm.
decisions are needing to be made, and
Yes.
as the day ticks forward, the hours tick forward. As I said, at nightfall, which is now 7.5 hours from now, you've got a trigger setting off
Mhm.
whatever is to be planned. That plan needs to be decided about now.
Yeah, because we just didn't make one. And I feel
What it
like
is you're doing.
you'd think in the last month it's been since we've played, we would have messaged and talked about this. Did we do that? We did not. No. Not
Things
at all.
were happening.
So let me do a little recap of my own.
Life's been a shit show, guys.
Yeah, it's been rough.
We all knew.
Let me do a little recap of things, how I see them, and then you guys can branch off to your own things and whatever you want and any questions and all that jazz.
Excellent. Yeah.
So, Garrison House is the compound of the Crimson Coin located in the Hive Ward. At its heart, Hondo was able to kind of infiltrate, and it's broken up into an outer wall with several outbuildings, a large barracks, and the Garrison House proper, which is the actual house, which used to be a bank that was run by Thusirix, the miser Drake. This dragon that you've learned, used to basically run a bank and keep a hoard and make profit, has since been dealt with, and the Crimson Coin have taken this and utilized it as their base of operations, and anything around it was overtaken, dissolved, destroyed, so that they had almost the entire ward to themselves, or at least to those who are of their ilk. When encountering the Lady of Pain, She gave you several boons after completing her challenges in her labyrinth, and gave you a somewhat cryptic warning when asked how you could, I forget the exact way you asked for aid from her, but asking for aid and direction and how you could do what it was she required, which was to eliminate the general. And the general is such a problem because he cannot be killed. Thus far, he has been able to regenerate any amount of damage. In your encounters with him, he was taking damage. Mary and Alana were able to kick the shit out of him, and by the time it came back to his turn, more or less all of it was back. Like, he was able to heal almost all the damage over time. Given an extra round in between, he'd be 100%, like Wolverine level healing factor. So, you can surmise there's a chance that you could blast like you've never blasted before and burned him down before he had a chance to come back. But the key there was he's still going to come back. Even if you keep going, you're going to tire before it's done, because there's no guarantee that even when he goes to below 0, he'll die. He could just come back. Same way Wolverine would. You have no guarantees, and no one has such confirmed because no one's been able to try. So the lady has said that there is a way to end that, to end this cycle of regeneration. And it may not have even come from the lady. Now, I might have been remembering that wrong, that there is another source where you got that information. But ultimately, that there's a way to end that cycle of regeneration that will make him mortal, even though he is mortal. It's just in a weird sense. The cryptic phrase she gave to you was, "Beneath the miser drake's rest lay that which is impenetrable by simple mind nor steel. Unwavering bastion and stalwart shield guards the beating heart of coin. The shard-honed edge, wet with the blood of the first, shall strike thrice the heart kept safe. Only then shall the eternally sated taste of mortality." That being the key to severing whatever magic is granting him his regeneration. Once that is over,
we still have to kill him.
He's still a highly skilled melee combatant. He is a literal general. Like, he has incredible military tactics. He's smart, suave, and able to handle his own without it. So it's not we got it, now it's over. No, it's still going to be a fight. That but there's no fight unless that part is gone, or at least is being dealt with in some manner. Unfortunately, your infiltrations were unable to ascertain how or what it was that is keeping where his powers are regenerating from and where it's being kept.
Kyle, are you cool with... Sorry to cut you off.
No, let me drink. I'm cool. Go ahead.
Are you cool with Boone using the Wand of Protection, which does say, even if you're incapable of casting spells, you can use it?
The Wand of Protection? I don't even know what that is.
It was one of the relics that we recovered from these guys.
Oh, okay. Let me look it up. I'm probably fine with it, but wand.
It would boost his AC and saves, and also give us some spell options. The biggest one being Wall of Force.
Requires attunement. Even if you're in, it says right there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. DC 17 on these saves. 8 charges in the thing. Wand is topped with an ever-glowing crystal when held, reassuring presence. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
That's what it's there for. I just couldn't remember what the fuck I made. Wand of Protection. Yeah, it's a cool one.
It was very cool. So it seems like from that cryptic thing, kind of talked about this a bit in our pregame, like 2 weeks ago. There's something in this vault, some hidden thing that's like his heart or some sort of like the source of this regenerative magic. If we're able to hit it 3 times, maybe with Mary's sword, if that's this shard-honed edge, or something to that effect, wet with the blood of the first, which actually makes me think we got to have his blood on it first, then hit it. Shall strike it 3 times, the heart kept safe, only then shall the eternally sated taste mortality.
One last thing, as a reminder, the whole point of this adventure.
That's right.
Is to retrieve the true name of Asmodeus, which is hidden in the Book of Keeping. The Book of Keeping, which you learned through the Archivist, was one of 3. This happens to the general is supposed to own the one that has Asmodeus' true name in it. One of 3 tomes that were crafted by a coven of hags, commissioned by Asmodeus himself to take devils and demons and combine to a new race that became the race of the Yugoloths. The Yugoloths being the general's race, and the general being the first, being the champion, and to some believed to be a god of their kind, a demigod of their kind, but certainly the first unnamed, except in the Book of Keeping. All Yugoloths are named in the 3 books of keeping. That you know. And in this ritual, the hags tapping into whatever onomancy goes into naming. Naming is a powerful magic that is untapped and unknown and very dangerous, but has incredible power. Names have power. And these hags were able to, while pulling names from whatever the weave, the ether of magic and life, they tapped into this source and pulled into the book Asmodeus' true name. And he has apparently been unable to find the one with his name in it, and is supposed to be in the general's possession. Likely in the Garrison house.
And we got from the Archivist that they don't, at least the Archivist doesn't want to follow him, but he has to because he has that book.
He has the power over anybody whose name is in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So in theory, if now that Ben word could get out, do we know if there's any kind of magic that anyone here is capable of, or that we have access to, that having a name is an important element or could fuck shit up more? Or I'm thinking if we can get this book early and find the general's name, is that going to be an advantage to us?
It could certainly be an advantage to you. I mean, getting the book to how you understand something that is hard to understand, this onomancy thing. For none of you who are properly trained mages, even Valentine being likely the strongest mage in your group, you're not trained in a specific style. It's an innate thing you possess. It's a talent and a skill that you've honed over experience and gifts through your connection to the Fae. Onomancy is a study. It's getting your PhD in weird magic. It's powerful enough. I mean, it's something you could certainly pose the question to someone like Mordenkainen. Mordenkainen that's the level of mage you want to be, to have an understanding of what this is and what it takes to wield a true name. And it is wielding it. It is using it as a component. It's using it as magic in itself. So it's not quite as simple as just being like, oh, the name is Bill. Great. Now, Bill, do what I say. There's power to it, but it needs to be used correctly. For whatever connection, whatever magic has gone into the creation of these books is in their blood. It's in the general's blood. Like, his connection is innately connected to both the names of the Yugoloths and the book itself, because it's part of his creation. So it's an innate tie, which is why he has the power over them, because it's him as well. It's difficult to explain without really fully understanding yourself.
Right. So, and if in theory, is it just whoever possesses the book has the power, or we're not sure?
You're really not sure. Without proper study, without it in hand to really like do an identify, to do a little bit of work.
It's too late now. That's okay. As much as it would be interesting to try to find another way to fuck with the general, if we know we need our hands on this book.
What I can give is, if Val wants to try and make an Arcana check, if you're willing to, if he would think to do this, I think Valentine would try and piece the puzzle together. And Val to me is your group mage, right?
Yeah.
If you want to try and see if you can parse the understanding and the connections, all the pieces that are coming together, if you want to try and make an Arcana check, that would be your path if you want to do it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm totally down, especially knowing
as much as I'd love to lean on other people, and as much as he's been helpful to us, I still don't entirely fucking trust Mordenkainen, and I'm a little terrified of giving him access to a book with names and everything.
So I'm gonna
feel
roll
shitty
it.
saying that, but
I'm gonna roll it, and I'm probably gonna use Peerless skill to add a Bardic to it as well.
Sure.
Here we go. Literally, it was on the 1 and went to 19. So but that's 33. But guys, let's fucking get crazy and let's roll a D12 as well for Bardic Inspiration.
Hell yeah.
That was terrifying. I was like, no. Come on, baby. Come on. Launch that across the screen. 5. So 33 plus 5 is 38.
38. Val has been
the highest thing you can get. Let's go.
That's all he's been thinking about.
Been sitting out of the fight and thinking. You've been thinking and stewing in your waking moments about this encounter, and I would think constantly just thinking about the creature that took your life and that has made your friends' lives and this city's future and all of this a living hell.
Before you say any more, I am exhausted level 2. Is that disadvantage on ability checks?
Exhausted.
It's not exhausted. It's minus. It's not actually exhaustion, right? It's just minus it's -4.
That's correct. It's like
so you're actually just subtracting 2 from that.
Okay, just want it to be.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I said to use the exhaustion so we could keep track of the number.
Got it. Okay.
But Leah is correct. It is just a -2. So instead of 38, it's 36. So you get nothing really.
You're like, it's names are important.
The interesting parallel of what you came here to do and the quest that has been presented to you here is the names. The names is what ties both your quest here and what you came here to do together. You sought a name, and now, in a weird way, you seek another name, and they're both in the same book. The book is the key. The book is the key to all of this. The key and the heart kept safe is the book of keeping. The
book is the heart?
The kind of breaking of the moment that connection is made in your mind, that the heart kept safe is a metaphor for the thing that is driving the general. His power is derived from his control over the Yugoloths. Everything he holds dear is his strength, his power, and that all derives from the book of keeping. The troubling part is to sever the connection, to sever his regenerative powers, means to destroy that book. That book simultaneously contains the name that you need.
Kyle, why do you do this to us? Why do you do this to us? So Valentine will have just been like leaning, staring at the window, and kind of come to that conclusion as some sort of muse comes to him. Yeah, it's the book. This whole metaphor, it's that book. which means if we want to kill the general, we have to kill the book. But if we want to save everything, we need to get the Lord of the Hells' first name, true name, before we do anything.
Do that. How do you I don't know how this shit works. Is it like reading a fucking book? You look at it, you go, cool, I know that now. I'm gonna write that down on a little scrap of paper to keep safe for later. Or is it like a thing? Is it like a whole thing to read a book with someone's name in it?
In the vision that you saw from the archivist, you saw the scribing. You saw the moment before the vision was cut. And it is literally scribed, like it's written on like a 2-page spread, this big fucking name. There is no way. It's just read it and know it. Knowledge is power. And that kind of knowledge, in the same way that knowing the last word is deadly, to know the name hidden of a vengeful god, that's immense power. And with that comes immensely treacherous future.
Gord has to do it.
Gord has to do it. We already have someone who's
Gord has to do it. He has to, because he's going to be the only one. Val, you can't come with us tonight. You still look like shit. So
I think I can come now.
No, look, we all look like shit. You really look like shit.
Oh, I feel so much better.
I agree. You look less overall shitty, but there's still a level of shit in there. Basically, I don't want you to get yourself killed again tonight.
Maybe it'll just be a game time decision. I'll just wait later on. We'll just see how I feel on like when the day comes.
Oh yeah, like have 10 cups of coffee and see what happens. If it's the person who knows the name is the only one who can cast this goddamn whatever the fuck it's called, when we end up trying to fight the devil in a couple days, if they're also the one who has to extract this shit, it has to be Gord.
I agree.
Hondo, as much as I love you, man, you're not, pure blue caster.
I'm not a sorcerer.
And, I mean, none of us are sorcerers. Lavender, she's not here.
You're more like a lover, not a fighter.
I fight. I like to fight, too.
Lover and a fighter. Yeah, and Alana and I are fucking useless when it comes to magic, so it's going to have to be Gord.
That feels harsh, but I agree.
So, how do we get Gord ready for this?
Under Wavering Bastion and Stalwart Shield guards the beating heart of coin. The book.
Wavering Bastion and Stalwart.
The shard-honed edge.
Yes,
wet with
that's
blood
my sword.
First.
So
that means
stab the general, and then Gord has to look at this book, figure out what the fuck he needs to do, and then I have to beat the shit out of the book with the sword that previously stabbed the general. And then we have to go, and then we still have to murder the general. Like, that still has to happen after all of this.
Pretty easy. At least we're not looking for, like, an animated heart in some sort of, like, suspended tube of liquid. Because that would have taken a while.
I can't actually tell if Scott knows if this is a Critical Role reference or not.
Oh my god, is it? It's great.
I can't think too. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you'd reach out for it yet.
Oh, no, not yet.
Okay, you gotta keep fucking watching. So we can talk about this shit. How do we learn? How do we find out what kind of checks and out of game terms?
Well, Val and Lav, we destroyed. What did we destroy that ended up costing Val his like sun sensitivity?
You guys did a ritual of knowledge siphoning that was crafted by Mephistopheles so that you could pull the last word from the mind of Tenebrius and encase in one of the gate gems. So in that case, you were literally pulling the knowledge to hold, because it was almost like pulling. It was literally pulling a spell, pulling an effect, an ability out of where it was previously known, previously stored, to a newly equally powerful kind of container. But the dark evil and being so exposed and close to it, that was what cost you. It wasn't so much the act of pulling, it was that what you were pulling was so evil.
Yeah.
That it hurt you. I think Lavender was just able to protect herself and save herself.
Yeah.
And it could have been far worse. Yeah, all things considered.
But that was a similar circumstance, to what this would be, to be like siphoning his name, another last word.
Doesn't someone have a luck stone?
Before that query continues, you still rolled like a 36, so I kind of want to keep that continuing as the knowledge is like
clicking into place.
Yeah, like I want to maintain that. Trying to understand the process of like, okay, how do we pull this? You don't have another knowledge siphoning scroll. No. you don't have that ability again. But the key there is that you're not so much taking something that can actively be like reused. It's not like taking the spell and putting it in the gate gem is the same way you cast a spell into the spell gems you have now, just on a greater scale. This is more learning knowledge. It is simply reading a book, but it's reading a book that is fighting you to read it. This knowledge doesn't want you to know it. And the knowledge itself is powerful. Just the word is powerful on the page. So it's going to be a battle to break through trying to just physically read it and physically understand something that is blaring light like the sun in your face, that is literally trying to scorch your retinas so you cannot understand it. It's less of a spell and more of a fight, a mental battle with knowledge itself.
Gord also has a Zeus Fate, which gives him his alternate reality, which means he can basically get advantage on a single roll, like ability check, attack roll, saving throw. And he can use that once for long rest.
And he has luck.
He's got his little luckies, which is nice.
So we just, when Brock gets back, filming on everything and be like, yo, save your fucking
Hey,
luck.
You're the secret to this entire plan.
Yeah, Gord's built pretty well for this.
Okay.
So what we could do, let's just putting that part on pause. I guess we do have to figure that out. But if we do get a hold of it, that should be the goal, right? We can't fight the general without doing this. It'd be a waste. If we see the general, we got to look the other way and run and try and get to this book first. Then
not necessarily because sorry. Keep going.
Then I think it's the squad has to buy Gord time to learn this thing, while we buy him time. Once he feels like he's learned it, then you destroy it. Then we destroy the general.
I do have to hit the general first.
Yes. So we could see him once. You can slice him, and then we run real quick. I mean, even if we didn't do that first, we know he'd be coming. We know he would show up, and then we could fight him. Unless he knows the secret of how it's killed.
Yeah, we have to.
I mean, even if one of us got a hit on him, like if Hondo got a hit on him, it just says the Shardhone edge has to be wet with the blood of the first. So even if
here's
one
the thing:
of us,
is that like poetic, or is it like literally just get blood on it, or do I actually have to stab him? Because sometimes I feel like it's poetic, and they're like, no, you need to hit him. The whole thing needs some blood. You can't just like dribble some on the edge. As much as I love a good loophole.
That's when like Gord could use ethereal miss. Could you read this book? Like everything you hold goes with you with etherealness, doesn't it, Kyle?
Are you casting the spell or using the oil of etherealness?
I was thinking the oil.
Because you have to apply the oil and it takes time.
It takes 10 minutes to apply it.
Oh, fuck me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we said it has to be our getting in plan. It can't be our escape plan.
Yeah, it would make best. In theory, obviously, if you can find 10 minutes of safety to do that, sure. You don't guarantee yourself that. You can get in with it for sure because you can guarantee safety somewhere. Fly your ghost asses inside. Away you go. But on the inside, buying 10 minutes of time is a trick.
And when we're our ghost ass self, are we still visible to the human eye?
Human, no. But anybody with true sight.
So the
true sight can see into the ethereal plane. Anybody on the ethereal plane can see into the ethereal plane. So any ghosts and any other creatures who exist in the ethereal plane would also be there.
Okay.
So this is where distractions are going to be key, because will be more difficult to spot generally if someone's not looking for us. If they're just looking around because it's a random day and it's I'm just walking around my compound, then obviously the chances of them spotting us are much higher. But if they're focused on something else, something in the ethereal plane and also in their periphery is less likely to get spotted. So that's where we have to be careful with our immediate distractions, which is where potentially the smiths could come in. Because we need a job for them still.
So we know what it will entail is Gord making checks, Gord spending time with this book, and us buying him time. I think that's as far as we can go until we get our hands on that. But let's talk about our battle plan to do this. How do we get there? And so I'm thinking we know the city is going to go into, or hopefully we're going to trigger some sort of uprising tonight. We did say look for the sign, you'll know there's a sign. So we got to do something big. I think this is where Hondo comes in with 4 sticks of dynamite. That could be a lot of fun.
Blowing up a building.
Blowing up a building. So that could be the gate into the Crimson Coin district. That could be trying to sneak the bomb towards the gate of the Crimson Coin.
Didn't you say, Hondo, that there was a building that just had a bunch of ammunition?
Well, there was behind the wall, where they kept all the arms.
Mm-hmm. And that's also
you really
the building.
Wanted to blow that up.
That's right. What I mean. I mean, they're on a pillar in a room where there's already a bunch of other shit that's going to go boom. Also, potentially, from what I understand, from what the one fucker who we were questioning was saying, also potentially above where this new secret weapon that we're all pretty convinced is a dragon made out of fancy metal is being built. Yeah. Yep. And this guy who we kind of promised to save, and we have absolutely not followed through on that promise.
No, wait. We did not promise him. We just promised his wife.
We just promised his wife and children, yes.
That's right.
That we would try. We have not done that.
We remember his name because, of course, all of us here, let's say all at the same time. 1, 2, 3, Kellic. His name is Kellic. That's right.
Oh, cool.
And you have his ring, and you of course remember what you were supposed to say to his wife about the ring.
No, I was just supposed to give it to him to show that it was.
No, I think there's a cute little thing.
Oh, great.
We'll think about
Mary would 100% remember. It would be burned into her brain.
For my shining star. For my shining star. You remember that? That's so endearing.
So fucking sad. Oh no! If she doesn't do this, it's gonna ruin her.
Stars they shine real bright and then they burn out and die forever.
They
do
burn out.
Hey, what about this? I'm thinking. Valentine's been thinking a lot. Boone just stoically standing, looking out the window, really bored of planning. Valentine into it. What if we do something like this? I don't have the energy to summon Fern, and honestly, I'm probably not going to go tonight. I was trying to put on a brave face, but I don't think I can go. But what if you did this? Hondo, you mentioned behind the wall there's some sort of ammunition house.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel about riding some sort of flying steed and throwing down dynamite from the heavens to try and explode that building?
As long as it goes boom, I'm up for it.
Okay. We know they don't like flying things here, but if we could do that quickly, that'd be pretty tight.
No, something else to keep in mind. I don't know a lot about ammunition and things that go boom, but the places that they put them in tend to be relatively sturdy from shit on the outside, so I'm not entirely sure dropping shit on the roof is going to be enough.
Hondo,
I think you might have to get in there.
Can you make some sort of check? What do you recall from this building? Perhaps it was made of straw or flimsy plywood.
It was weird. They did it out of styrofoam. I'm not sure the concept, but
it's just all that particle board that all the IKEA furniture is made of. That's all it is.
And it was doused in gasoline.
It was a stone structure. It was like a cinder block level, type of stone construction. So, what I will say is a single stick, unlikely. A bundle, now you're talking.
So another thing, not even, again, sorry, can you also remind us, Kyle, layout of this area?
Pardon me.
There's a wall. Are there any buildings that come up against that wall, or is there a gap?
No, there a specifically good roadside perimeter around is empty.
Sorry, I mean interior buildings.
Against the wall
inside of the wall. So there's the wall that goes around the pavilion, area, and is there could you climb this wall potentially and climb up on top to a building, or is there a gap between the wall and the building?
So Hondo was close enough to see the barracks and the wall are one structure. The barracks is built out from the wall, and there's like a mess hall, and there are other rooms that it's all like one large construction where the outer wall is the outer wall of the building as well. And then on top of the building is just the walkway and the ramparts with the battlements and things. But the barracks itself is built into there. So it's a one piece. If you were to climb the wall, you're on top of the barracks building and all that kind of stuff. The garrison house itself, the bank house, sits away from the wall significantly and away from all of the other buildings. It's in its own, almost like a small villa within this compound. There are other smaller outbuildings that are attached or just connected to the wall or just separate. But I would say Hondo didn't have enough time to gather much more than the two that this smaller outer structure. There are some outhouses and things like that, but that's not going to provide anything of interest to you. And then the barracks itself is connected. He did see that.
So thought, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
My thought is, again, how can we potentially use our new allies, the Smiths? That silver guy is stealthy as fuck. What if we get him with some other, distractions to climb up on top of the roof and set the dynamite?
Wasn't he a
somehow?
Dragonborn?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. Silver Dragonborn. He's an old motherfucker, and it was like, you're cool.
What's their breath weapon?
Coal-based?
Not something explosive-based would have been fun.
No, he's silver. Let me double check.
Because the other thing I wanted to keep in mind, this might be the time where we're potentially ethereal, right? So we can only limit so much of the pre-planning we can do. But if in theory we could get him or one of them to set it and either also set it off, or I got an explosive arrow left, folks got fire, there's shit we can do to potentially light that from a distance. That's an option. However, that's also the space where this potential weapon is. So we don't know what we're going to set off, and we also don't know what that is or how close it is to being done. And I'm realizing we probably should have scryed on Kellic again at some point to try to see what the status of that is. And I'd love to get him out, and I don't know if we can. Oh no, Scott. Yeah, you are still on camera. We can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We're back, baby.
Oh no.
You didn't even flick it.
Sorry, halfway through that, every single one of my devices disconnected like a keyboard and mouse.
Weird.
We are good. Very good.
Kevin left and immediately just went to dox you. That's
Do you
all.
think it was Kevin? Do you think that's what he did?
I think so.
Fucking guy. Yeah, I totally agree with your plan. Whatever you just said. I'm down for it.
Basically, we could potentially use cool Dragonborn dude and then set it off elsewhere, but we have to keep in mind we don't know what the weapon is, and exploding something directly above where it is, who knows? That could activate it, that could scare it, that could bring it out, and then we have to fight that too. So I was saying we probably should have scryed on Kellic again to try to get a status update on that thing, considering his whole life is building it, but I know that's going to take an hour. So, because no one's attuned to it. Unless Val still is, but I don't think he is.
Attuned to the crystal ball.
Yeah.
Gord had attuned to it to do the previous scrying. However,
he would have unattuned. Yeah.
And Valentine could have been attuned to it over the last 2 days, like
knowing we're probably going to need to use it again.
Yeah,
I'll do it. He's so smart, guys. You know him.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold that against you. That would be something that you would think, this is a tool I can use to help everybody that isn't as taxing on me because I'm utilizing a device.
My thought was very much along what you were thinking, Mary, which was like, do we want to draw all the attention to the warehouse, or is part of the strategy separating their forces, trying to get some people out of there to limit what they can throw at us as we invade it? You know, so if we blow up that gatehouse, it's going to draw a lot of attention, or the ammo stockpile, it's going to draw a lot of attention to that place. Maybe that's like a really good backup plan, or this is not going well, let's do this on the fly. Like if we could, and I also am thinking that's so far into Crimson Coin turf that is that a good enough signal for like the people to rise up against? Like I'm almost thinking if we blew up like their like stockade Crimson Coin like bullshit, like you know, where they made us pass through, like that's a good symbol of like, fuck you, no more of this bullshit. And that could be like a good moment for an uprising.
Are we actually doing a signal for the anarchists to do their thing, or I thought the anarchists were just gonna do it by themselves when it got dark out? Because that's enough of a signal, I'd imagine. I don't know that we need to do any more than, look, these things that are on the edge of the Crimson Coin territory are going boom.
We told the people there'd be a signal, look for the signs, and I know they're gonna blow up the alchemist's house, which I think is in the territory of the Crimson Coin. So that's.
And then is there like a bar? What's the other one?
Victor's Crown is, if I'm not mistaken, in Crimson Coin territory. Let me double check. The intent was the anarchists figured your thought process was thin the herd in the garrison house so you guys could go in and do what you need to do. So if the attacks were too far, they wouldn't send anybody.
Fair.
If the attacks were not personal enough, they wouldn't send anybody.
Why would they go?
So it has to be close, has to be personal, it has to be impactful for them to send a significant force. So they picked 2 targets that were Magbella and her lab, essentially, is incredibly integral to a lot of what they've been doing. Blowing that's a key moment, and making sure that she survives it, they'll send stuff. So they'll send people to it. Victor's Crown, one is it's a loved spot of the men themselves, so they're going to want to go. And 2, there's a good chance you're just going to kill a bunch who are there. You're just thinning the herd by just hitting that place. So that was the thought process from the anarchist group, is that's why they picked those. So they will hopefully send a larger number than if you had hit just other spots, or if you they picked those out of being the 2 spots that would elicit the biggest response. So now, if you guys add into it, you certainly can. But it is if you were to think of hitting anything close to home, the close to the garrison house, I mean, the anarchists have that covered. Yeah.
So maybe we just let them take care of that. we don't necessarily have to do anything for like the city to see it.
Let's go back to what's our plan for getting in there. We don't entirely know what we're facing or what we're up against. So it might, like, we have to almost, either we fucking go now and try to do some scouting, or we find a way to scout as we go. And because we're going to be figuring this out, we don't know what we're going to be coming up against. Ethereal illness can get you through a lot. Someone, maybe just the DM told us, ethereal illness is not going to help against a fucking wall of force.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's going to do that is Gord's staff. He's got disintegrate.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to keep that up. But he has to be on the same plane to use that.
We also have Mordenkainen bringing a strike force in of robots.
That being said, they're not friend.
No.
They're equally your enemy.
Yeah.
They'll kill anybody, but they are a big distraction. He's friend. He'll show up. He'll help you.
Yeah, maybe.
He said, I think I quoted, like, I'll bring the noise when something's going down. So when he sees the explosions, he'll bring the noise there, and he'll be a good distraction as well.
Yeah, and you also did tell him the same timeline.
Yes.
So in theory, he's going to be moving in that direction, nearing the sunset, nearing the night flip. And as things kick off, finding an opportune moment, he'll make his way known so that his attackers, his followers, get on his tail, and then he'll hightail it in.
Yeah, I think to move this forward, we should do a Valentine's Scry, see if we can get anything on Kellic. Then we should try and meet up with the what's it called? The Resistance, the Dwarves,
they're the Smiths.
The Smiths, sorry. Try and meet up with the Smiths now so we can be ready in coin turf for this nighttime switch so that we can act quickly. And we could call it at the church as to what we want to do after maybe getting some more info from them. But I'm kind of leaning towards maybe etherealing in as much as we can and then switching over. Originally I was like, oh, should we save those to get out? But like, we're not going to just fucking take 10 minutes to put this on and then get out of here. It's going to be like a fight for our lives to get out of here.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is, how are we going to get out quickly back here? Now, potentially, maybe it doesn't matter. General's dead. It's just going to be chaos. And
yeah,
who knows? Although there's still potentially a bunch of mercy killers just like around who hate us.
But maybe the lady will help us by that point. If the general's dead and we've done our job, she and her peeps could like be like, all right, time to clean up some of the trash. Who knows?
Maybe you're correct. I'm a pessimist, and I want to make sure that we can get out no matter what. Because if we don't, then what's the fucking point of any of this?
Well,
we got bigger shit to deal with.
Gord can turn into a dragon. We have some dimension doors. We have a
Can
Pegasus.
he though? Because what is he? Oh, that's true polymorph. That's his once a day thing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just thinking, whatever our plans are, we have to make sure we don't burn too many charges on that staff, because we might need those for disintegrates.
Yes.
And who knows what the fuck he's going to need that for.
For dealing with the book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if that pulls any charges. Let me look. Let me see. No, so you can just do that once a day. No, so he's just got that once free to grant himself advantage on an ability check, attack, roll, or saving throw.
Yep.
Or he can basically has another luck with it. He can roll again, but must use the new roll.
Yep, for saving.
And then he also has full 3 lucks. So he is the best equipped.
He's our guy
to handle challenging, weird magic.
Magic shit. Speaking of, should we scry?
Okay. Focusing on Kellic.
Yeah, I'll give you the ring again.
Okay.
The ring?
Focusing on Kellic as like the focus. Ring. Yeah. The DC with that is minus 2 or 5.
DC 17. I'll come back. Wiz 17, and then save modifier. We have a possession or garment, so it's a -4 to their save modifier.
And that was the key. I rolled a natural 17. Oof. No modifiers. Minus the ring. The ring pushes it over the edge.
Damn.
Val, once more, utilizing scrying, as you have many times before, you descend into the vision of the kind of clouds that are obscuring the crystal ball itself. And immediately, as soon as you kind of get in and you feel the magic take hold, it drops into darkness. And it's weirdly quiet and yet echoey. And you do hear this kind of drip, drip, drip of water kind of hitting stone and puddle in darkness. And you hear the shifting of metal like a chain kind of shifting against stone. And as the vision kind of clarifies, you see Kellic. You see him manacled, chained in a dark jail cell. Stone against the back, old stone against the back, where he's kind of manacled, hands over his head. And he doesn't look good. He looks like he's kind of fading. His face is swollen in bruises and pain. He's got recent kind of cuts around his wrists, and his clothing is tattered and singed. He is breathing. He's alive. But he's no longer where you'd previously seen him.
So might have finished his work.
Yeah, if you cut it short after a minute or two, there's no change to his position. He's sleeping, barely conscious, as just trying to survive in what looks like a dungeon or a jail cell.
I'll just break that, look over at Gord, and be like, looks like he's okay.
What happened?
I said, we used the crystal ball. Looks like that dwarf's okay. You were worried, right?
Oh. You have no idea how worried I was.
Oh, rest easy. He's okay.
OK's relative.
I think you kids need to go. I think you need to start making your way to the coin territory and meet up with those smiths. I wish I could go with you. Do you want to have like a big lunch and then go?
I'm not sure if there's anything else we can do. What time is it roughly, Kyle?
It's been, with all the ritual casting and communication, this has been a long time. We talked through these kind of revelations that Valentine was having in matters of moments, but really it was several minutes of stewing and thinking and planning and mulling over that which you've been experiencing. It's getting close to 11:30 noon, maybe not even quite that deep, maybe closer to 11, but it's been a solid hour and a half of this.
Yeah, I feel like you guys gotta go. You guys gotta get there.
You gotta make sure we don't get spotted on the way. So we're gonna have to move slowly.
Will you guys do me a favor? Will you kill him for me?
For you, we want to kill him for us too.
Boone will be like, oh, I got a debt to pay too. Don't you worry there, Sonny. All right, enough chit chat. Let's get the fuck out of here and start a revolution or some shit. Boone will go to the door, kind of just look back at Valentine, give a little nod, rap on the door, and start walking out.
Oh, keep an eye on the duck. You were asleep when we got home, but there's a duck in the bathtub. Gord. So basically, it used to be a big scary thing that wanted to murder us. Gord turned into a duck. Now it's a duck, and it probably still wants to murder you. Don't let it around any knives. Okay, bye.
Wait, where you go? Okay, good luck. Jesus. Before you cut to them, can Valentine just peek in the bathroom? Just slowly peek at this duck?
Sure. Make a dexterity saving throw.
I just picture this thing being like, wow!
Oh, it's great. It's great. It's 2 + 10 is 12.
We're all going to have this epic fight with the general, all these things, and it's Valentine.
And I'm going to have a fight with this duck
holding like
room.
a chair, trying to keep back a duck.
It's made of shiv.
The duck flies straight as the door cracks open, right for your eye with a beak trying to peck your eye out, and you manage to close the door on it. This is one murderous duck.
Who's left? I'll just go to the window and watch them leave.
Okay, let's take a short break out of game to fill in Gord as to what has happened, what the plan is, and then we'll pick back up with the journey and probably just straight to the arrival in the Hive war. So we'll be back.
See you on the other side.
As we return, the Wildcards have made their way through the market ward and all the way to the edge of the Hive ward. Do you guys want to take the route that you were previously shown by the Smiths to kind of circumnavigate these barricades, or do you want to try and get eyes on certain things? Or are you okay with going in the back door?
I think the Smiths option, like, they know best for where there's the least amount of people to potentially spot us, so.
Okay.
While we go, could Boone like nudge Mary and be like, you mentioned something about the Mercy Killers. Maybe keep an eye out for them as we go.
Yeah, I think we all need to be watching our backs right now.
Did you say washing our backs?
Watching.
Right. That makes more sense.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for anyone watching us.
Yeah, I mean, I always assume you are, and just keeping an eye out for all of the different factions that have been now pitted against you, or you've pitted yourselves against them, however you want to look at it. On your travels to here, you did see a handful of pairs of Mercy Killers who did basically eye you and watch your group, but they did not follow or engage. But you did notice, like, you were watched. You have yet to see a single crimson coin. You have seen several groups who've reading and talking about the paper, the Cager. You can see there are several groups, some animatedly talking, and you can easily, all of you can hear that people are riling up, saying maybe it's time we fight. You know, people are thinking about it. There are several voices saying, fuck that, this is not our fight. Like, that's ridiculous to go up against them. Do you want to die? Like, think of your family. Like, it's a debate. It's a lively debate all through the city as you're making your way here. It's still being discussed. As you find your way to this
Can we try to snag a copy of that to try to see actually what they said? Because he was kind of like, I'm just going to tell the truth, and we don't actually know what it says.
Yeah, sure. Without explaining an entire article to you, it is more or less your story as an anonymous witness, almost like a witness account of being a third party to watching this group rise up from the city itself and want change. Almost like an op-ed piece, almost like a legend, a story, more so than news article, but ending with a kind of rousing speech, a rousing kind of notation of it's time to stand up for our city to stop letting people tell us what to do who mean to do us harm. It's time to take a stand against the corruption that we see. It's time to stop letting people just throw coin around and make our lives worse. Stand for yourself, speak for yourself, think for yourself. Taking a spin on what you said, and at the end of it, saying, when you see the signs are right, do what is right.
Cool. I'm glad I wasn't sure what that angle they were going to take at one point, so that's comforting.
That last line sounds pretty good. He's a good man. I hope we get to see him after this.
It's okay. I hope he fucking hid.
I don't care much for Hondo. If I didn't see him after this, it wouldn't bother me.
Unless there's anything else, you guys make it to the edge of the Hive Ward, the area where not the edge of the Hive Ward, to the region of the Hive Ward where the church, the kind of base of operations of the Smiths is. And you're able to make your way into the interior, into their lair. It's quiet. There's a long kind of echoing pause as you enter into the cathedral here, before Silver drops out of the shadows from above, throws his hood back, and says, I wasn't sure you were going to make it back. It's good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
So it seems you mean real business. And he kind of shakes a paper out of his cloak.
Having good press is important.
Too true, too true.
Especially like sometimes the masses can feel different than the press, so you really got to pick and choose what kind of journalists you trust,
Sure. Well, I've always trusted the Cager.
It's fair and balanced. It's nice.
Indeed. We got some of our people out on patrol. Things have been, this is shaking things up quite a bit in the house. I'm sure Red and Snow are going to want to talk to you.
I was going to say, is this safe to talk, or should we go into the...
We haven't seen much activity out our way today. They've kept to themselves. They've kept inside the barrier. It seems what you've said here has kind of given them pause to get out. They've tucked in a little. I'm not sure if that was your plan or not, but if it was, good job. We've seen something, though.
What did you see?
One of our patrol found they were calling for an address by the general. He doesn't do it often. We've been here for a couple months. We've known him for a long time. He doesn't make grand speeches unless there's something worth speaking about. And he did today.
Did your contact manage to get any of that speech?
Well, that's where Snow comes in. You're going to want to talk to her.
Oh, great.
Head back down where you met Red before. Well, they're down there now. I'm going to keep eyes to the sky.
All right.
Anything last night? Late? Anything change? Very late.
Late through the night, through the day, they've been coming in droves, pulled back inside. They're preparing for something.
Well, so are we.
Too true. Get going. We only got a few hours left. And he starts scampering up. easily enough, you guys are able to lift and shift the bell and stone to this secret kind of path below, to these like old catacomb level beneath the church. Down below, you see two figures. One who you've seen before, Red, this half-elven male in his full armor. I don't even remember who he was the last time you saw him, but his full proper battle-ready armor. He's got this long kind of red cloak that kind of hangs over the shoulders, but he's got it pulled back and pinned kind of back beneath the pauldron, so it just hangs like a cape. But you can see it's got a hood as well that's down. His hair is kind of pulled off to the side and a little shaggy, a little unkempt, but for the most part, he's still maintaining relatively clean-shaven, pointed half-elven features. Beside him, and the two of them are kind of poring over what looks like some loose drawings on a table with a bunch of candles around. Beside him, you see a female form, pale white fur, that is kind of coming out through not so much patchwork, amber gold armor, as different pieces that serve their own function and purpose, but not one is necessarily a massive piece. It's all small chunks that are leather strapped to the different pieces and sections, so that each of them can be removed and interchanged and able to perform different activities, rather than one cohesive armor suit. But she does have this kind of visored helm that she doesn't currently have on. You see it kind of sat on the table in front, but it matches the aesthetic. But you see pale white fur and two curled black ram's horns of a satyr. She kind of turns with this kind of pointed, very slight snout, this kind of perky nose, but her eyes kind of glare with this fiery intensity as she kind of turns in your direction with, like, as she does, like all these kind of tools and weapons and elements kind of dangling from bits and pieces of her armor kind of shift with her as Red turns with his hand at his waist, at the hilt of his blade, but relaxes, recognizing your crew. Well, you've certainly made your impression. It's good to see you.
It's important to have good press.
Too true. Look, we're running out of daylight here. Night's gonna be on us fast. We need to know what we need to know, and you need to know something as well. And we need to get in position, and we need to know what you want us to do. There's a lot to figure out in a short amount of time.
We got some ideas, got some plans that we want to set in place, but first, Silver mentioned there's something that I think you might be Miss Snow, is that right?
Yeah. We haven't seen this in a while, but I was able to record. I make devices, and I'm a bit of a tinkerer. I recorded the address of the general today. I figured it was going to be important to reread and re-watch what it was he was saying. And I'm certain y'all could appreciate what it was. Maybe make some judgment calls on the way he's thinking. Here, she kind of pulls out this kind of, looks almost like the arc reactor, like Iron Man's little arc reactor, but it kind of unfolds with like almost like a camera lens, like aperture that opens up.
Cool.
And this light kind of, and you see a hologram kind of portray, and it's almost like shaky cam footage where it's like all over the place, and you see like just the battlements of the garrison house that you recognize, and it kind of quickly zooms and pans across and amassed hundred Crimson Coin mercenaries kind of amassed in front of the garrison house, and quickly cuts up to the balcony that kind of opens off to the left of the main house, and you see the general kind of step out to like large amount of applause, and it kind of plays out in this kind of tinny sound over and kind of echoes off the weird little cathedral. Or the catacomb, sorry. She steadies the image on him zoomed in, and it's pretty blurry, but it's definitely him. You can guarantee that look, that expression, that demeanor that he's carrying himself with. It's certainly the man that you expect.
The smug asshole impression.
He puts a hand up, and the applause and everything dies down. And he kind of looks across. You can hear faintly, but amplified in this space, his voice.
We stand on the precipice of a new dawn, a day where the lady no longer sits atop her throne of bone lies. It's finally time to finish what we started many years ago. Freedom is always what we have sought, and our freedom is what has always been denied us. Every citizen in this city is a prisoner, whether they feel the chains or not. I'm seen as the villain of this story for simply hoping to break those chains, and for us to be free once more. I wasn't born here. I didn't come here by choice. I won't have my life here end by the whims of some omnipotent, overseeing jailer.
The crowd kind of cheers and claps along to that. And he kind of just quickly dismisses it with a hand.
If our freedom comes at the cost of a few rebels so desperately want to stay in their chains, then so be it. And there's one thing we can do. It's fight. And if they want that, we'll give them a hell of a fight. And we won't be doing it alone.
And you watch the kind of camera shift, and it kind of zooms a little. You see 3 red-armored Mercy Killer Justiciars step in behind to more kind of applause and jeering from the crowd. The general kind of holds up the cager and just chucks it into the crowd and says,
"This city and the lady want us all divided. 100 individual groups can be scattered, scared off, or squashed. A united front is a force to be reckoned with. And that is always what she has feared. For people like you, for all you to listen, to see the light, to rally together. These rebels, try as they might, they won't sway the masses in a city such as this. No. Sigil like Sigil respects only one thing. The strength to do what you believe is right. And we no longer seek permission nor forgiveness. I gave this city and its people more than enough chances at freedom, and it gave nothing back but spite and vitriol. No more. The days of second chances are over. Sigil's final option is here."
And he kind of points down at them with vigor.
"Together, we claim this city as our domain. To the hells with the Queen of Pain. Her reign will end in splinters and darkness evermore. My brothers and sisters of the coin and mercy, you've served me and mine with loyalty and respect. For that, you shall be rewarded. In the blood-stained light of a new day, we shall rise from the cinders of the old world and burn a trail forwards in crimson and in coin. A new day, free of chains, free of our prison, and free of the Lady of Pain."
The crowd, again, just kind of cheers. And these Mercy Killers, Justiciars, kind of embrace with that kind of classic clasping of the arms with the general. And he kind of nods off to the distance. And you watch as the ground at the barracks, like in front of it, begins to kind of quiver and shake. And the crowd doesn't even expect what's happened. They start like backing up. And the general kind of points. And you watch as kind of the ground splits and cracks and pulls away as a gleaming metallic sheen begins to kind of rise up out of the ground. It is machine and monster in one form. You see the blue oil-slicked Accurite in its purest form. Proper full plate, massive bent plates over a almost like a construct, like a machine. But you watch as it rises on two legs, massive arms with these almost like cannon-like fists, a kind of domed front that in the center, similar to like an arc reactor, you see this like burning purple light. As it rises, you see that light kind of like go across the entire form, ignite in these cannons at its fists, ignite through this kind of like domed skull, and flaring out the back, you just see these wings, these draconic wings, and almost like pushing through its front, you see this roaring draconic face, semi-spectral, before withdrawing back within this machine. The camera, like at the roar, it kind of shakes and the hologram cuts. Snow kind of looks at you all and says,
How big are we talking here? We're talking about this dragon. Is there a way to get a perspective here?
You do, because it's compared to a crowd of normal-sized individuals. It's at least 15 feet tall, upwards of 20.
Like, null-sized, like...
Yeah, it's difficult. Like the dragon itself, this image almost was not like a full dragon popped out. It was like it was like elements were like
The
bursting
visage of it.
free, exactly.
God.
But contained within this like mech body that was maybe almost the size of a probably storm giant sized stone storm, kind of in that upper tier of bipedal monstrous.
And was this thing bipedal or was this thing...
This thing is bipedal.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it like that.
It's like a Godzilla mech dragon.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. Great.
It's a giant Pokemon. It's just a giant Pokemon. And, cool.
I think it's like a giant Digimon.
A giant
Maybe.
one.
Maybe
I
like the
Mecha
Megazord.
Godzilla.
Mecha Godzilla seems very apt, yeah.
With wings.
wings.
What time of day was this recorded?
This was maybe 2 hours after daybreak, maybe an hour. It was
Okay,
early.
so the scrying would have been after this, right?
She just kind of like
No, like I'm asking the DM. Like the scrying
Answer,
we
Snow.
did luckily would have been after
I
this.
assume. It would have been, yeah, it would have been well after.
Okay.
You guys slept. You guys woke up about that time she's talking about.
Okay.
When I was talking to Valentine, just catching up on how much we hate the general, he mentioned that the general had said something to the effect of he was making something, a weapon that could kill the lady, that could change things down here. That sure sounds like it. Looks like it.
Well, it looks like something we've never seen before. It looks like something fucking deadly is what it looks like.
Do we know where it is now?
I finished filming the scene, and admittedly, we kind of panicked and tried to pull back to report. We haven't seen it since. We've sent scouts out since, and it's not there. We have to presume it's gone back down below wherever it was before.
Do you happen to know who those 3 people that came on stage were with him?
I'm not sure. I've been a long time out since I was in the ranks of the Mercy Killers. The Justiciars are their upper level hunters and killers.
So they were Mercy Killers?
Yeah, the Justiciars are the top rank.
Great.
I think those are a bunch of people who they tried to.
Yeah, that armor is the same armor that you have or used. Yeah.
Yep. That's the armor that we put on the dead body.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. Well, here's the thing. We
started out friends.
Have you seen, you said that a lot of them are kind of gathering for this big fucking speech. Have you seen people return back out of there, or from what you understand, the numbers shown in this are the numbers that are still in the garrison house?
I've seen people go, you mean?
Yeah, like have people return to their posts, potentially.
There have been a handful, but not nearly as many as before. Normally you could see several larger groups moving and going at the same time. The numbers dwindle down to half in there on an average day sometimes. There's 3/4 of the forces that we've ever accounted for are there right now, likely more.
I would reckon they're probably going to do the same thing we are. They're waiting for a moment. But if they've amassed forces, it's a powder keg. They're waiting to explode. What better time than when night falls? So I think they're going to do the same thing we do. This whole city's going to go up in flames tonight.
Boone, what do you know about Arcury?
It's like magically imbued. It's resistant to stuff. What do I know about Arcury?
You can make would be a good check for this.
How much were you paying attention when everyone else talked about it? Check.
I just hit stuff with a hammer.
Are you proficient in any like tools?
Yeah, 3 Dragon Ante.
Okay.
I'm driving a vehicle.
No, ride a horse real good. Let's see. You can either make an Arcana or History.
Both are -1. Let's do it. 2. It looks like how you saw. It's scary.
It's super strong. It's super hard to work with. But what it can do, basically what you already said, it's a naturally existing magical element. It doesn't need to be imbued with magic. It innately is magic. And that means it could have numerous possibilities that you can do with it. And what? You don't fucking know.
You saw how it was like spooky purple lightning over the thing at one point. It was like flowing through it. I just think it's probably made it real strong and capable of doing scary things.
Magic metal.
It's magic metal. It's metal, okay. It's magic.
Right. Well, as of right now, our plan, which we're still trying to finalize, and I mean, this does change things. So, there are going to be a series of distractions that come off.
Do we tell you about
in the city?
Yeah. Did we tell you about the resistance, Red? What they're gonna do?
You had alluded to something. We
they're
definitely
gonna blow
want
up
more information.
Great. They're gonna blow up the alchemist's house and also like that roadhouse, whorehouse that the coin have. They're gonna blow that up. in a couple hours as soon as the sun goes down. Quote, sun.
All right. Well, the alchemist, I don't give a shit about. That's a mercy. But there's certainly going to be innocent lives of any kind of brothel. People who work there aren't necessarily part of this.
What do you mean that's a mercy?
To get rid of the alchemist is a mercy for this whole city.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure she was not doing great things.
She's one step down from the general himself.
Wish we could have met her. I mean, the resistance they're kind of a loose cannon. They just kind of do what they want to do. If you wanted to send an informant in to try and get them out, you could suggest that. But we had another idea for you all. Mary came up with it. She wants to tell you.
Before Mary continues, just make a straight persuasion check. Because he's kind of conflicted, and Mary, you can see that.
For me?
Yeah. Mary, you can see that he's conflicted about the idea of just blowing a fucking place up and the civilian casualties that could cause.
21.
You see that like processing of ends justifying means, and that there are many other more innocent lives at stake here. But he understands that the targets make sense, and he just he'll have to process that and deal with that in his own way, repent for it however he will. But he just kind of lets it go. We can't spare the manpower. They're going to do what they're going to do.
Speaking of, Mary, do you want to tell them the plan that you came up with for them?
What can we do?
The plan I came up with for them is, it depends on, so basically those are going to draw some forces out.
Hopefully draw a big amount. The alchemist is a big ally.
We're going to give it a little bit of time after that. How much, that's going to be played by ear, because it really depends on how they react.
Okay.
They also recently lost a stash house. As recently as 12 hours ago, we are very fucking tired.
We did hear that.
So they're going to be a little trigger happy. They're going to be itching for any kind of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are two options here. One is draw them out further from this. We have potentially, Hondo has potentially some explosives that could be planted and set off somewhere. The question is where to put them. They could be potentially something closer to where we are right now, in a last-ditch attempt to draw them away. Alternatively, they could be planted on the barracks themselves. At the very least, we need to get into the garrison house proper. We have a way to get in there relatively quietly, without being seen. That's not our concern. The concern is what we find once we get in there. So even if we're drawing numbers to the other side of their fucking compound, at least that is slightly further away from where we are, and so we can accomplish what we need to. Okay. We have ways to potentially set that trap if one of you or a number of you are able to do it. Secondarily, this is something that's more of a personal thing, and I understand if it's something that's not going to be accomplished. The man who built that beast is not one of them. He's been kidnapped. He's been forced to. He has
Kellic. His name's Kellic Battleborn.
Kellic.
Barrelborn.
Bane.
He
didn't care. Kellic Barrelbane.
Okay.
He's been unfortunately forced to finish this work, though it is finished, and from what we understand, he is alive. Likely underneath this same compound. I'd love to get him out of there.
Underneath the barracks, you mean?
what I
was
understand.
locked up. He looked like he was like in chains, so they have some sort of dungeon there or something.
There's a dungeon beneath the garrison house.
So potentially multiple step. Once things start popping off, people get out of there. It could be a case of someone on your team seems quite comfortable sneaking around places and potentially breaking people out of shit. At least that's what our folks who have a similar skill sets are used to. Could be a multi-step plan of get in there, see if we can get that man free, plant something that's going to go boom on the way out. Alternatively, plant something that's going to go boom up high and bring the whole place down on top of whoever's remaining.
Of the garrison house itself?
Of the barracks, where most of the men will still be who remain. And potentially, apparently, on top of wherever the fuck this thing's coming out of, any intel we've gathered says underneath the barracks is where this thing was being built. So potentially it's like a nest for it.
That's where we've seen the construction. We haven't seen anything concrete, but we've seen construction of clearing out something from beneath the barracks coming and going over the last while. But, so that all rings true, and now we have evidence to indicate that there was something being built down there.
Kellic might have insight into how this thing could be defeated too.
That's true.
Safe.
He built the thing. If we can get him out ahead of this somehow and get intel back, that would be ideal. Although I understand there's a lot of people in there right now.
Well, there's a lot of elements here.
There is. And a lot of them are unknown still. We're quite used to winging it, but I understand there are too many other parties at play to do that completely.
Look, we can draw some attention, but we only have a dozen of us. All said and done, we're going to fight to the bitter end, but they beat us by numbers. Hopefully, their numbers are dwindled by the time this goes off, if your resistance kicks into action. But even at half, even at quarter of their numbers, we're fighting 2 or 3 to 1. I'm not saying we don't do it. I'm just saying pick the spot that you think is going to be the most impactful for whatever you want to do. And we'll do our damnedest.
Any you able to send a message across distances?
I have a device I can talk to.
That's handy.
I can give one end of it to one of you.
What if your goal, you all seem just people, what if your goal was to rescue this man? You could come with us as we try and break in, but your main goal is to rescue Kellic. And if he does have insight into this beastie, you could relay that info to us and we could take care of it. But you get in and you get out.
I mean, we can certainly give that a go. Silver would be an ally to you in a jailbreak. He's broken out of one before. You can certainly try again.
Probably be even more people down there too. Maybe even bolster our forces with some of them.
Certainly possible. It's not uncommon for them to take prisoners for significant periods of time, wear them out, and either convince them to join or die.
Don't I know it?
Most people will take that join option over death.
Some people.
Look, even entering into the garrison house, though, is not a simple task. Getting from the gate to the door is hard enough, but inside, Silver, again, has seen the interior. It used to be a bank, so there's significant security, and they've bolstered that place up strong. The windows you can't break. The general lives on the second floor, and it is reinforced to high hells. His office, he's almost always in it, overseeing everything. You can look out that window and see his whole operation at all times.
That's
barely
probably
ever
where
sleeps.
I need to go.
The dungeons would be below the security office from the main floor. I don't remember the exact layout. I know it's on the main floor, and there's the dungeons and cells below. They're legged, they're old, they've not been updated or touched. The garrison house itself has been all these upgrades to make it sturdier than it was before. Trying to think what else.
So are we saying, sorry, Kyle, if I'm just misunderstanding, we think he's in the dungeons, not necessarily based on what
Scott is saying is he's chained up, and that's what Red is reading, that it's a dungeon.
Gotcha. Okay. Like he's probably been moved from where he was before.
In the visions you've seen, the scries you've seen of Kellic before, he was never in the same kind of environment. This is a different environment you're seeing. You're not sure, though. Like, this is Red reading off of what you've told him and what makes sense. There is a dungeon. He doesn't know the new construction. There could be dungeons there. There could be jail cells. This is his best guess, without scouting.
We do have a device that can allow us to find a creature.
That's certainly helpful.
Or an object.
Wayfinder Sphere, yeah. What is, Scott, can you read what it can do? I know it can do something once a day free, and then you can put a spell into it to do it again, right?
You can do both.
It can do both at the base level, free.
Okay.
But then to make them better, stronger, you can burn spell slots to imbue it with better versions.
Because I'm thinking we might need it to help find the book, but I feel like also we could use it to find him. To at least find out what area of the compound he's in. Even if is it kind of like a little radar? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, where it'll tell you vaguely what direction something's in.
It'll be as long as the spell is active, it'll constantly be kind of directing towards the signal. You know, if you go too far this way and you would pass it, it'll be pointing over here. Like, it's always gonna be a fixed point.
It's 1,000 feet.
1,000 feet
for creature.
Potentially, we could either one of us or send one of you before all this shit goes down, just on a lap on the outside of the compound within 1,000 feet and see what direction this thing is pointing to. We have an item of this man's, which might help. And we can at least get a better idea of where he is.
Sure. We can send a scout just to get an idea. I mean, the only two options is either going to be in the garrison house dungeons or somewhere in the barracks. Those are
exactly, but those are the two different buildings we're looking at. It regardless.
Those are the only two options,
and that can inform where is our distraction going.
I have a really fun bad idea.
Sure.
So we saw a purple worm. We've fought purple worms before. They can burrow underground. Gord could true polymorph one of us to be a purple worm. Go underground. They can move at 30 feet through solid rock. We could
they have a burrow speed.
So we could try and come up into this dungeon. Whoever is the purple worm could then try and attack or draw out people, but it could try and get as close to possible to this dungeon.
Pretty fucking crazy fun idea. I'll give you that. It does cause tremors in the ground, I think.
I would assume it would be.
It's a big burrowing 80-foot worm.
It's like that Ocean's 13. I don't remember which Ocean's it is.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of a heist where we could come up from below.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's the only burrowing creature I can think we've seen.
Some dragons can burrow, but yeah, I mean, that's the best burrower there is.
You know the spooky monster of the Kell?
The blue dragon? Burrow? The blue dragon equivalent of what that was. It had a burrow speed, but not nearly as fast.
Okay.
And potentially not rock. That was going through sand.
That's also true. It was turning sand to glass, essentially, is what it was doing by the electricity of it.
This thing's tremor sense, blind sense, 250 feet, or 250 HP, AC 18, speed 50, burrow 30. It's got tail stingers.
What's its CR?
That's the big thing.
Doesn't say on 15. Is that too high?
15's in the clear. It has to be under 17. Under level. Under whoever the target's level is, so it can't be Boone.
Oh, okay.
Boone is 14.
So it has to be under the target's level.
It has to be the target's level equal.
I was going to think you could do it to one of these guys, but no, that's not going to work.
Yeah, are any of these level 20?
Unfortunately,
Silver?
No.
It was like a level 5 or 6.
This would have to be one of you.
It can't be Gord, though. He's too valuable to be doing that.
Now, we also, like, it's a super cool idea. We got to know where we're going.
Well, I think he's, just going towards
that's what I mean. But no matter what, we have to do this little scout first to see where the target side is. It's not a terrible idea. However, I think, like, it's going to end up, that could potentially draw enough attention to be purple worm fight versus giant mech dragon
which is
fight.
Sick. And probably some sort of anime hentai lover's dream. Could be real cool. Like, I think so. If we did, we don't have to do this, but I was just trying to think outside the box. We could go in, do a little drop off, even if it doesn't get that close, but then immediately this thing skirts up, like fucking erupts in the courtyard, draws a lot of attention, could burrow away even, but just try and draw him out, try and make a lot of noise. Meanwhile, we're going into the bank, trying to get Kellic, trying to get eyes on the general in his office and breaking in there.
It does create tunnels wherever it goes. So keeping in mind, depending on entry exit points, they can also utilize that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could use that as an escape plan. I mean, it's pretty fucking cool. It can't be me because I have to stab shit with swords. It can't be Gord.
It could be Hondo.
It could be Hondo if he was interested.
He is. Look at him. He can barely contain his excitement. He's jet lagged and he's ready to party.
He's ready.
Hondo, would you like to be a huge phallic symbol?
More so than normal.
Like, do you just want me to stand like this?
No, I want to make you into a giant dick and impregnate the bitch of this fortress.
He wants to make you into a purple worm.
Well, I'm okay for impregnating. I'm okay to be a purple worm.
You're just down with
what if this is the play? Purple worm, we wait for the explosions, see them draw some fire. We purple worm our way down below.
Mm-hmm.
Get as close as we can to that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
And then you either fight the mecha or just fight a bunch of baddies, lure them away. You drop that form, you fucking sprint back to us, my sweet, sweet boy. And then...
Never going to say no to a battle.
Then we win.
So that's going to be the hard thing, is we're not going to want to leave Hondo on his own, because if/when something beats the shit out of the purple worm, he's going to be Hondo by himself.
I also want to just add one level into your discussion.
Please.
True polymorph's concentration.
Yes.
For Gord.
Mm-hmm. So if
he
Gord
just
gets
has to be
hit,
protected. Yeah.
Hondo suddenly is not a purple worm.
Yeah, we just have to make sure.
I say, don't even think about that part, because it's going to be fun no matter what way happens. But just that is something to keep in your periphery, so Gord can't cast another concentration spell if that comes into play. It also means if Gord's fighting the book to try and understand it and he gets hurt by it, concentration could fall while that's happening. If this is happening simultaneously, so you have to think about the timing of all this.
What if you...
Hondo's also a slippery motherfucker when he's just himself.
He's a slippery little motherfucker.
That's what I mean. We need to be able to give him an escape plan.
What if we set a loop? So, like, basically, he comes up, gets us close to the dungeon, whatever it is, right? Some sort of underground area there. Then he, like, erupts, causing chaos, and immediately descends. Doesn't even attack. And immediately descends and circles back to the main tunnel. He drops the polymorph. runs the tunnel back towards us. Even we could use the dimension door gem, fucking jumps 400 feet towards us. He could eventually catch up. He can like double dash. He's fast as hell. But yeah. And then they're like, what the fuck was that? Is it coming back? Is it about to attack us? Should we get the mecha going? Should we call those other guys? And then we're breaking Kellic out. We're starting the fight there.
So I think that could potentially work. I like that it makes an escape path for potentially us and the people who are trying to get Kellic out. Yeah. It could also be use the purple worm, regardless of whether you erupt or not, to get underneath some other buildings that might then collapse because you're taking their foundations out.
That's cool.
Right? Not necessarily the garrison house, but everything else. The wall, could you get under and fuck the foundations of the wall?
Yeah.
So that it's making like that's coming down and maybe something's going to come in and charge. Like if we had another fucking army, this would be amazing because we could take down the wall so other things could come in behind it and charge. We don't have that army.
Maybe there is. Maybe the lady's about to come. We just didn't get her
one
letter.
More thing. Just one more element to your discussion. The tunneler feature of the purple worm, which is the fact that it can tunnel through solid rock where most burrowing creatures can't. That's part of why the purple worm is perfect for what you're looking for, because the ground here is solid rock all the way through. There's not like soil, right? So the purple worm is kind of your only burrowing option. It moves at half its burrowing speed while tunneling through rock.
Ooh, through solid rock?
So it's 15 feet. It's 30 burrowing speed, turns to 15 speed while tunneling. So
it's not very fast.
Using full action to dash gets you 30 feet around of just tunneling, which is still pretty good. But in terms of you guys considering it like just blast through and dive down and come on back, it's going to be Hondo or whatever purple worm, whoever purple worm is, it'll be 30 feet around, which
so how about this?
Could leave other creatures to come in, and they've got an army, right? So they're going to move.
Yep, quick. They do. Hondo can go invisible too, though. So if there's a way for Hondo to get in, cause enough shit, bring some buildings like close to coming down.
Oh yeah, I think there's lots of that stuff to be on the
back
fly.
Into Hondo, throw some dynamite over his shoulder. Into underneath the tunnel. Collapse the tunnel. The foundations under this building that you got kind of close to being fucked.
Interesting.
Go invisible. Meet back up with us.
There's tons of awesome there.
There's a plan. Or we could be a dragon and fly over top, drop us all in. You just start breathing fire. There's a lot of fun ideas being thrown around.
But I mean, this way, Hondo, you get to explode shit, and you're actually the perfect person to be invisible and not come in that way.
I do like that.
Someone else could also ride the purple worm. However, then like if there's two people, right? So you're not by yourself.
There's a lot.
At this point, I'm imagining it would probably have to either be Boone or Brawley.
Because
Gordon and I should probably stick together there.
God, we're real splitting the party then.
I know.
There's like 5 of us too. We don't have Lab, you know? I don't know who Lab is.
There's 4 of us.
There's only 4.
What? No, I meant with like, yeah. What else was I gonna say? Oh, you can swallow things, Hondo. You can swallow someone and then they take damage inside. Like, you can have a lot of fun with this.
Ooh. Oh yeah. You dissolve them.
This is the craziest plan we've ever thought. Oh, and then what happens if you turn back into Hondo?
Ew.
It's very disgusting. Look, this is a crazy as fuck plan, but it's pretty fun.
Let's fucking do it.
Let's do a vote. Allie, what do you think of crazy purple worm plan?
I'm down. I want to see purple worm.
Enough said.
Gord?
We don't need to vote anymore.
I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, it should be. Gord should certainly get a vote. It's his 9th level.
It's
spell.
his. That's the thing. Is we're blowing his biggest spell to do this.
Yeah,
but it's pretty fucking cool.
Your biggest escape plan, your easiest escape plan, kind of goes out the window. If you can't transform into a dragon.
However, before we solidify this, who wants to take this fancy orb that apparently I have that I took out of Elena's bag, and this ring to go see where this guy is to make sure that this plan is actually going to work? Is there a scout that wants to do that, or should we do that?
Red's like, I can go send Silver if you want to continue planning.
Sure. I'll quickly show them how it works. Here's the ring. You can put it in this slot, and then you'll be able to see.
He takes it immediately, and he's gone for a couple of minutes. You're left with Snow, who is kind of just like, y'all just kind of came in here talking about transforming to purple worms like it's an average day. That's how it is.
I just started hanging out with them, but that's pretty average, yeah.
Cool. It's fucking amazing. Yeah.
What do you think? Do you want to vote? You have a vote in this.
Oh, I mean, I've never seen one. I've heard about them, and I want to see one in action.
Oh, well.
So,
I mean, this is the best way to see one on this end of it, not the face end of it.
Yeah, the face ends.
No,
face end is scary.
This. We've literally always talked about the fact that we could never get inside without casualties. This gives us a straight line, a beeline into the heart of shit. And the chance to just, even honestly, obviously we have a whole thing we're planning here, but like, even if we just took down their base, that's such a huge win for us. They have nowhere to go to. They have nowhere to fall back to.
Good symbol for the city, too.
Yeah, exactly. That would spark people to come back here.
When night hits, we wait for the explosions, the light of the other things. Then, I think, Gord, you turn this blue fishman into a purple worm. Fishman, you will then tunnel towards the fort. You'll drop us off near the dungeon, and then you be you, son. You go up, cause some chaos, try and take down the foundation of the wall, some buildings, and then heck, just like Mary said, you could drop it, come invisible, throw a bunch of fucking dynamite in the tunnel, in the garrison house, whatever you want. Then you meet up back with us. You could take that dimension gem, little teleportation thing that Mary has, try and get close. Meanwhile, we'll be doing a jailbreak, which will then turn into a heist movie, and then fighting the first ever Yugoloth, an unkillable monster of a man.
Sounds like a plan. With the clock ticking to shortly after noon, actually you had to walk here, so into midday, you've got 3 hours until sundown. 3 hours to finalize the last bits, to guarantee all these elements, to do any last minute scouting, casting, and prepare yourselves as next time we assault the garrison house. Bring down the Crimson Coin once and for all.
Worm style.
This is the craziest plan
I'm
we've
so
ever had.
excited to see this.